My best rental ever was actually my first rental, all right? It's kind of emotional, right? Because it's your first. And it was a fixer-upper. Now, maybe you don't have any real estate yourself, you're considering getting into it, or maybe you already have started in real estate, but I think you can benefit from the tips, the nuggets that I'm going to share with you. Right? I'm going to draw back the curtains here, going to bring you into my home, show you everything I did in terms of the tips, the major tips, right? That this was like a hole in one in golf, right? It was my first, but it actually was my best in that regard. So I got lucky, and hopefully this will benefit you by seeing the same tips. Now, I bought it with just $23,000. It was a 5%, 30-year fixed residential owner-occupied mortgage. Bought it for 460, but I only put 23,000 plus closing costs into it. Now I did renovate it, and the renovation was around about $40,000. And there was an extra almost 30,000, but that wasn't something you got to put into it if you're just doing long-term rental. But I really wanted to get it into a short-term, so the furnishing, really going for luxury there. But again, rather than talk about it, let me walk you through it, right? Let me share with you all the tips that I think can benefit you the most. And so welcome into my property, and we're going to start off by looking at blinds, at curtains, and everything there that's going to help my guests get a really good night's sleep. Now, I do like to have these 2-inch faux wooden blinds in all my properties. They're a step above your basic vinyl 1-inch blinds, which are very cheap. They're really easy to do. But these 2-inch, faux wooden blinds are just that bit extra luxury. I don't recommend the wand. That's the thing with the stick, because the wands tend to break quite often. I also don't recommend the plantation shutters. Beautiful, great for yourself. Just that little bit too expensive, kind of really going over the top. Renters don't need that, even in luxury Airbnbs. Definitely try to basically go for something like these blackout curtains, right? These are wonderful for noise and also for light. You know, you want to go to sleep at night, you want to have some nice blackout curtains like this. I just love this particular color, coordinate it, get some other things as well from other stores. Walmart, other stores are very good for these TVs, and you can get, you know, little holders like this that hold the remote controls. Also, I get these luxury second-hand estate sales for a lot of these furniture, things like that. So that one was combined with this one over here, kind of like sisters or twins. These are original 1917 pocket doors. They're kind of cute. They kind of come out like this, right? So these are the original doors. It goes all the way, but it's not going to push it right now, right? So they're really nice. I get these from IKEA. These are the Freiheiten in IKEA. Sectional sofa, pulls out down the bottom. These just come straight out if you want, right? And it turns into a queen size bed rather easily, just like that. So you can pull it out. Also this one here, they're all Bombstad black. This also converts into a sectional, into a sleeper. And you can lift up what's inside there. You can put the stuff in. Also, this one here just pops straight up. I don't want to ruin it too much, but just goes up like that, right? And it just goes straight up, and you have things inside there. So it's a really solid, nice bed that you can double up. And that means you can get 2 people here, 2 people here. It just adds like an extra 4 people. These mats are great as well. Now, I had issues with this when I first got it, but you can get a nice gel stain on top of this. This is all the wood, all the wet is basically, I have the same color in all of my rentals. This is all Swiss Coffee semi-gloss. You want semi-gloss for any wet areas. That's like bathroom, toilets, laundries, things like that, and wooden, like doors. Whereas I have Edgecomb Grey, a flat on all my dry areas, walls and things like that. Keeps everything simple. I've got maintenance white paint on ceilings, because it doesn't matter. It's a ceiling, it's further away. And also closets, maintenance white, cheap maintenance white. And I get these similar things from Lowe's, I believe. These are just kind of these bronze, oil rubbed bronze holders there for the curtain rods and various other things. Sometimes you can use these QR codes. You know, do you like this bedroom? Do you like this living room? Do you like this bathroom? It really does work. And some little things like this go a long way, like just little books you can find in places like TJX Maxx or Marshalls or things like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. You know, some little items like that. That was actually a friend of mine. He gave me that original wooden piece, which just came in here. So, you know, carpets as well. You want to have something that's a little bit noisy, that goes with everything, but it's going to show up almost sort of like the salt and pepper, but it shouldn't show too much dirt, because again, you're going to get a lot of traffic. I'm trying to protect the floor to a certain extent. All IKEA things here, a lot of like these benches. This is a nice little touch. I just added that little ladder over there to the actual wall. And again, we've got some extra flowers. But then you want to have dimmers as well if you can. Again, check the electrics. Sometimes you want to have an arc fault depending on what you're doing. Sometimes you have your ground, your GFCIs or GFIs as contractors might say, even though we say GFCI. And then in terms of your restroom, like your bathroom, right? I just love these space savers. Like they're just so good. You can get all kinds of ones. And these ones are your kind of your bronze. You can get them even cheaper looking. Or you can get the wooden ones where you can put in like a closet, things like this, right? That go over them. But they are great space savers. I love the kitchen barrels. I like doing one style. Like you're either going to go for something that's kind of stainless steel, or you're going to go for something that's more like oil rub bronze, something like that. So just keep everything as consistent as you can. Knight's quartz. So you've got your granite, right, which is kind of like if you don't want to go above Formica. Formica is a little bit too cheap, I think, for most of these rentals, unless you're a Section 8 housing kind of thing or student housing. Really, granite is your base. Now you can always protect, get a protection layer, but granite will last the longest. It just shows less stains. A lot of granite here in this particular kitchen. This was something that I added to the kitchen. And granite, countertop's one of the top 3, I would say, one of the top things to do. But then you can use quartz because you're not getting as much heating. You're not doing much cooking. Like if you're putting a pot, suddenly if some tenant or guest puts a pot, it's going to stain something like quartz, whereas it's very unlikely to stain granite. Marble is even more touchy. So really wait until you have your own home until you do marble. Unless, again, you can always protect it. Now, this is the third real color here, Coventry Gray. So you can kind of see, right, these are what the cabinets looked like all over. And all I did was just paint them, and it makes it look so much more swish. Added a little countertop and added a little sink. Have an oil rub bronze. Again, this is Lowe's. This is pretty much just TJX Maxx, Marshalls, or one of those stores. This was just me at the very last minute forgetting that I needed to do a backsplash, and I couldn't fit. There was a mismeasurement here with the backstopper, so I just had to put this little sticky thing on. Not the greatest, but you know what? People don't notice it too much in rentals. I like some color combinations. Again, I like these distressed lights. You can get these from Lowe's. A lot of this was actually coming with the house, like the mirror came with the house, this cabinet came with the house. All I did was just basically paint it. This is Coventry Gray, but everything in here, because it's a wet room, and the doors is all semi-gloss, that's the finish, but it's Swiss coffee semi-gloss is what I'm actually using here. Again, dimmers, just love dimmers, can't get enough of them, because you can obviously make them more romantic by turning them down a little bit, but just make sure if you do get the dimmers that you have the lights that go with them. Now, I know that there was some back and forth with these particular lights here. It's very, very difficult now to get some of these lights for various reasons. Whereas let's say the fluorescents, you can get, that's not a problem. But those ones, those old-fashioned lights now, even though they look really cool, there's difficulty getting them. So this is your dining room. Again, you want to have maybe a few little extra things that you put in here. I love coasters. Love, love, love. These bamboo mats, got them in IKEA, I believe. They change them every now and then. This is debatable. If you are going to go for nice smells, I would consider 2. I would either have something like eucalyptus or lavender. In terms of your kitchen, right? So I love General Electric, GE, absolutely solid. You want something that's like a German, like you want something that's basic but reliable. You don't want appliances. So this is GE, this dishwasher, and over here as well, GE. Now this all came with this house. I lucked out on this house. Structurally, it was magnificent. I never had to change the appliances. This was when black was really popular. So the previous owner had everything in black. And all I did, I painted these god-awful cabinets. So they're now all a kind of a Swiss coffee semi-gloss, right, all around. Maybe I would, if I was a bit more money, I would have basically changed the tiling, the backsplash, a little bit dated. But that was one thing I kind of paused on. I inherited these underlight. I think they're very nice. I inherited these. I inherited some of those pans up there too. Having QR codes around help, Also some things like this, like which sheets were used. This is what I used to do, like to try to minimize the amount of washing and speed up time, etc. I did this, I guess my mother did this. This was quite nice. Right, so just the area, kind of using postcards from the local university and putting things on them like that. That can be really a pro tip right there. Clocks, things like that you wouldn't know. Like these are just little pieces of art. I used to have a sign here. I would basically put like a little card, that like a welcome note, thank you note, and some little goodies for free. These are just IKEA benches, absolutely love them. And that came with the house. And then out here in the back, I've left some stuff here for the guests to use. These are separate from our own stuff. So if the guests make a spill, they got, you know, a broom, a mop, and a small little mini vacuum cleaner. I used to have a bigger one, but it disappeared at some point. And this, by the way, this is your system here for the Yale, right, for the Connect. So that just connects to the lock over here. This is a back lock for the back door, side door. Then we have, you know, bins, trash bins, right, to bring out the trash bins. Of course, you want to have a certain distance. You want to have your extinguisher, and little welcome notes here, little plants. I found this really useful, like something like that where they can sit down, take off their shoes, have an IKEA mat under here to catch all the dirt necessarily, and something like this, right? And then they have their little areas. And out the back, it's a little dark right now, but out the back, we have a back garden. It's all gated, so the kids can run around and they can go into the basement, etc. They can play in the back garden to their heart's content. Having all the stuff as well, I'll probably make a list of this rather than showing you. But these are good, but they're a little bit hard to clean. Running low on some of the supplies there. We got like a double iron or toaster, bin, coffee maker, etc. We had some juicers, some kettles, some mixers, lots of stuff like sugar, sweetener, things like that. Like you don't want to have the real milk, so you want to have something like that so you can keep it for longer, etc., etc. Different times we had different supplies. I really do like these if you can get them. Like something like this just really adds a bit of extra. That was about 200 and something when I bought it. Very, very nice, but definitely is good. You want to have your supplies, you know, extra things like some, you know, things for the dishwasher. Not just the Cascade, but you also want some dishwasher cleaner and also some, I know for the guys here, like sometimes we don't get all the paper towels, but paper towels, pro move right there. You need that. And just little extra things in here from time to time, little cleaners, extra sheets, and just leaving things around, you know, all kinds of cooks. I can put this into the menus in terms of later, in terms of what things I would recommend that you have lots and lots of supplies of. But there should be loads of supplies inside all these kitchens, you know, things like this, like your glasses, etc. Right, and over here, things like our cups. You know, we're probably gonna find some weird things. No, we're not, because they're doing a good job. Right, but this is just a general thing, and there's like, you know, there's things everywhere like that. So kitchen, very important. The guests are going to spend a lot of time here, and you want to stand out from the crowd. You want to stand out from your hotels, okay? Because you're competing with the hotels who don't really do kitchens unless it's a long-term stay. There's very few places other than long-term stays that do that. So you can really appeal. This is why it should be more, right? Because like you're having the benefit of almost being living in a home. Okay, Michael, we've spent enough time downstairs. Can we actually get to see the upstairs now? Okay, so let's have a look. Going up now to the second floor. As we say in Ireland, it would be the first floor, but in the US, we call this the second floor, right? Just to be confusing. So we have a his and hers over here. Really nice, it all came together. Now, here again, we're using the same kind of system, right? We have the oil brushed bronze, and we have, you know, these dispensers. I find them very, very useful, these dispensers. Try to kind of coordinate, if possible, right, the actual ones. Now, if you can get soft bottoms, get soft bottoms. I couldn't, obviously, so I had to, you know, not do that. And also try to coordinate in everything as much as possible. You're noticing the similar floral picture as also the shower curtain. Similar things around here again. You know, flush only toilet paper, right? Do you love this bathroom? I love these I just love these space savers over here for putting your toilet rolls down on the right there, you can see. And also you can put a phone on top and extra toilet rolls, always very good. Plastic thing, bags. And then you can have extra storage space down here in each closet. I think I have some extra spare soap stuff. And we have lots of room in here. And this came with it, actually. This bath didn't have to do any work hardly in the back. Apart from, I think at some point I changed some of the faucets here, added some extra things as they slowly started to worsen over time. Little hooks like this, very useful, all from Lowe's. So with that bathroom out of the way, we have our two main bedrooms on this floor. So here again, more mini splits, right? And up here, love that. I no longer do it, that exact one, but we have essentially this nice little fan and lights. I just liked that little theme. I kind of thought the nautical theme going on with all the blues. And so I just stand back here a little bit, right? Just like that. Again, more signs. Now you have extra things here like controls for TV. Again, we have that same mini split system controller here. Got this thrown away from a friend. Over here, and then we have these lovely little lights. You can get those lights in IKEA, wonderful lights. And over there, there's also this, where the yellow sign is, there's a little noise machine. Great sound machine if you've got children, or even just because you're in an Airbnb and you want to sleep and everyone else wants to be awake, or you're maybe in a loud area, you've got neighbors next door or something like that. You want to have that. And this doesn't actually have any loudness here, so it's actually perfect. But if you're in the front room, sometimes there can be noise once or twice, but it's very quiet, typically speaking. Some other places I have are not as quiet. But just that nautical theme going on. Love this little extra piece here where you can sort of sit down, change your shoes. This nice kind of velvet bed, really good for photographs, kind of has that theme, right? You want to go for themes in certain rooms. You won't see it right now, right? Because I don't have the lights on and it's quite dark, but this was a closet. I noticed that there was this balcony out here. Okay. So we have this nice little balcony out here, and we have our little area where people can socialize, and during the day they can look out over the back garden. It's all, it's all basically covered, so you can see the wooden fence. Keeps the little ones safe. It's all totally enclosed, so they can park and then they can go out the back and play down there. And it's pretty high up here now, and already just on the second floor. There's a little rubber roof below, and all we did here was we put Trek deck over the actual floor, put this little gate all the way along, and then I got this little extra trellis to give some privacy from the neighbors. And we have this light here, which you can pretty much get like in Walmart, right? And just these nice wicker chairs you can get online, ottoman system, two different separate systems here. So yeah, that was an old door, no lights. That was new. We had to crawl through the window when we first found this. It was clearly used at some point as a balcony, and then it was closed because the neighbors have one. So it really does add an extra feature, right, that they can walk out there. If you can do something like that, do it. But if you can't and you're worried with the neighbors, that's something that could go. But it really is a bit magical having something like that, something unique, like a walkout balcony. Right, so I would call this my masculine room with all the navies, etc., the dark navy. Whereas this is more feminine, I kind of look at it like this, right? So we have kind of different colors in here. Again, this is just me designing it, right? No woman designing it, but I was trying my best. So by trying my best, I mean getting like Audrey Hepburn book, things like that. Again, TVs as much as you can. If you can have a TV in every room, I'd recommend that. This here, you have a canopy bed just to make it really good for the photographs, kind of looks entertaining. Again, just a picture behind. Again, the same kind of setup, all the same electronics. You have your radio, alarm, etc. This is a walk-in closet over here. Nice to have you want to have this for the think about, if you're in a hotel, you want to have something they can put their bag on. Ironing board, iron, hair dryer, all the parts. This is really saving device, this thing here, right? It's just like, it's a light control, but rather than having to hardwire this, again, hardwiring is better, I'm not suggesting, but if you have to get away with something, if it's not your own place, let's say you got a rental arbitrage, or for me, I was just too cheap. I didn't want to open up anything really here. I wanted to really keep my costs to a minimum, and it doesn't really affect things. I've had a good few years out of it right now. Again, have all your alarms in the right places, and make sure that, right, that you have all. I loved the little recess lights, though that was one thing I wanted to keep. I guess going into our third floor, second floor in Ireland, but third floor in the US, I kind of think about it like an attic or a loft, even though it's actually not, because there is actually a loft above this that you could stand up in. So this was technically where I live. I love this. This was my old bed back in the day. Here, okay, we're looking way out now. We're pretty high up. Again, Kallax from IKEA here for your extra storage space. Then out here, probably won't be able to see much at night, but if I can get this through, no, I can't. So it's a little difficult to see. You can just about see if I stand like this, kind of across there, some of the other houses and down below, etc. It's kind of reflection, unfortunately, in the screen. But that being said, we have very similar setup. in pretty much all of these rooms. I have a floor ceiling mirror attached in the background so it doesn't fall down. Metal map, extra storage, again another TV. So this was kind of like very separate. I was originally thinking I'll just rent and share the house with others. Again, you want to have storage, this storage under this bed. I just love this IKEA bed. Again, IKEA is fine for most things. I do like the Egyptian cotton sheets. Again, more Kallax, more Eero for boosting the signal, the Wi-Fi signal around the house. This is my old study desk. It's part of a metal desk, Office Depot. Again, some lazy boy chairs, some little paintings of the Wrights brothers, etc. More closet space. Another restroom, right? Like a third restroom, or 2.5, I guess, because the one on the ground floor didn't have, or first floor didn't have a bath or a tub. So this could be, some people call this the 3/4 because it's not a tub, it's just got a shower. But you want to, I do like that little thing in there, the dispenser where you have like your body wash, soap, conditioner. I do try to have everywhere possible these kind of little outlets like this, because you have your USB charger. Now this was a little bit earlier before the C became more popular. So there is more modern ones now with the C I have in some parts of the house. But still you have this little ridge to balance a phone if you want, and you can plug it in, your USB, etc. But you know, it's just, you know, this extra thing, it's grounded, it's protected, and you know, it's just a great thing to do in some of these older houses. Of course, you want to make sure first, ideally, that you know, you've checked all the electric, you've removed all the knob and tube, you've brought it up to code, you do everything right. But then it can be just something extra, like really it was almost over the top, but I did like having these outlets in every place. That's a great electrical tip. Again, a Coventry, take a standard mirror, not very fancy white, and then I just did this myself. I did this Coventry grey around it myself. It was actually the second mirror after the first one broke, and Coventry grey here as well. And having, again, just little items every so often, right? And then looking out on the back, if I just turn this off, it might actually work a little bit better. Yeah, so you can kind of see, now if I stand here, there's a big roof out there. We're on the 3rd floor, almost looking out over the city below. We're pretty high up now, above most of the area. But that said, I hope that was useful, guys. If I can do more, I will in the future, but I think for now, this covers this property. There might be some things on the outside, like the bins and things like that, and other signs about parking and whatnot, and respecting neighbors and things like that. But other than that, this should be good for now. So did you enjoy my first home? Well, I hope you did. And if you're starting in real estate or considering to start in real estate, then I have made the guide just for you. It's called the $10,000 Property Playbook. And by the way, I'm not selling anything. It's completely free. You can click below to download, totally free. I'm just giving back now, sharing what I know, because education really is the name of the game here. Now, it's packed full of value, right? Everything I wish I knew starting off. Now, it's called the $10,000 Property Playbook because it shows you that although in the property you just saw, I told you I got in for 23, you can get in for under 10,000. And in fact, I did. Not in my first property that I bought, but I did with another property, even before that. So I know it sounds a little silly because it's different strategy, and you can see it in one of my other videos. But in this particular free guide, I show you how you can leverage into other properties afterwards. I also show you the different ways of how to make money in the properties, and more and more and more. So it's really just, the name of the game is just doing one at a time. No need to rush. So let's build your wealth one property at a time, and I'll see you in the next one.